Good morning. Hi ho, it's off to court we go. Yes, it's not another day in paradise, it's another day in court for lots of expensive cases and some very upset families as they go and try and defend yet again their children's right to an education. So, I just bit my tongue then. So in the original court case, a lot of the claimants' case was based very heavily on a report by the National Audit Office which said that SEND is broken. Now, this is not new to anyone. Everybody knows it. The Tory party, who were in charge of SEND at the time, said it's broken. They hang their head in shame. They admitted it. They said, we totally screwed that one over. The Labour government have said, you totally screwed that one over. The SEND system is in crisis. Local authorities have been saying it. Parents have been shouting it as loud as anyone could shout. Schools are shouting it. It is broken. So this is not new. We all knew it was broken. And so this was referred to by the claimants. And the government said, rubbish. It's absolutely fine. Your children can get a satisfactory level of education in the state system. And I'm sort of sitting there going, when did satisfactory become okay? Particularly on the backdrop of Bridget Phillipson saying that she wanted excellent. Bridget Phillipson says, we've ended up with a good school system that delivers good outcomes for some of our children, but not all of our children. And I believe in excellence for all children, regardless of background. She doesn't say regardless of special educational needs. She says regardless of background. So Bridget wants a good education if your background's not been great, but a satisfactory education is okay if you've got special educational needs. Okay, so as long as we're clear with that, as long as we know where our barriers are to education, if you've got a not great background, and we don't know what that really means, but if you've got a not great background, then you can have an excellent standard of education. But if you've got special educational needs, the government says you can have a satisfactory one. Okay, good. So we've got that. So the government is saying they could have a satisfactory level of education in the state system, and the state system obviously has said, unlikely, it's absolutely broken, it's in crisis. Now, I don't know that I'd ever put satisfactory and crisis in the same sentence, but the government is. So they've gone back to court saying, well, we don't think this report can be admitted. We don't think that this can be referred to. So we would like it retracted, and we would like the judges not to refer to it when they come up with their ruling. And funnily enough, the claimants have gone, no, you all agreed it, you all knew it, it was fine when this was happening, why have you changed your mind at the 11th hour? Well, there's lots of reasons circulating. One is that they're financially trying to squeeze the claimants out, because as we know, the claimants are being funded by crowdfunding, whereas the government are being funded by you and me, the taxpayer, and we don't get to say how much we will give to that. We don't get to say, do you know what, after you've spent 20 grand, that's it, it's a cap. They can do what they like. They can spend what they like. So for them, there's no real financial implication. But for the crowdfunding, there is a financial implication because it's not a bottomless pit. It will end. So there's that. There's also the, crikey, I think we've lost. Well, let's just try and clutch at a last minute straw. There's lots and lots of reasons as to why they've done this, but none of them follow integrity, ethics, or a moral framework. They all smack of desperation. And this is coming off the back of lots of reports and lots of articles over the past few weeks, because education is a hot topic. And we've seen Bridget Phillipson making lots of quotes, and one of them is one I think that is very pertinent. The last thing children need is further disruption to their education, not least after everything they went through in the pandemic and the ongoing challenges that we still face in ensuring that children are regularly in school. So a couple of things in there. Children, the last thing they need is further disruption. So does that exclude the 56,000 children that are being disrupted over the next 2 years because of VAT on education? And that's just the private school children, okay? So that's just the numbers referring to private school children leaving private schools. What about the children in state school who are having these children coming into that sector? What about the disruption it faces and causes to them? What about the fact that they're sharing resources, they're sharing classroom space, they're sharing teachers, they're getting less attention, their sports teams are growing in numbers? What about that? Are we looking at that, or are we, whose children are allowed to be disrupted and whose children aren't allowed to be disrupted? In the same way that you can aspire to have an excellent education if you come from a bad background, but a satisfactory one if you've got SEND needs. So who are we allowed to disrupt here? Because Bridget's saying that no children should be disrupted, while she's actively, with the VAT policy, disrupting 56,000 children coming from private school. And then equally, I'd say more or less the same number of children in state school, because of course one child moving from private education is dramatically impacting one child in state education. So we can at the very least double that to 112. So that's 112,000 children being directly disadvantaged by this policy. But you, Bridge, you've said the last thing children need is further disruption as you actively disrupt them. That's ridiculous. We talk a lot about the word challenging. She says it's challenging times. For me, if I hear challenging one more time, it's like an excuse. This is really challenging, but we've got to do it anyway. It's not challenging, Bridget. Don't do it. It's as simple as that. They are difficult times. You have definitely not inherited everything in a rosy perspective, but equally you have not inherited a complete disaster. Schools were performing very well until you got involved, and now they're not. So you're not facing challenging times. One may argue that you have caused challenging times, but I'll leave that down to you because we just don't simply have enough time in the day. I've got reams and reams and reams and reams of paper talking about this. But the long and the short of it is we're back in court again today at the taxpayer's expense while the government tries to defend the indefensible. And that's why we're back in court, because we are defending the indefensible. These are children. Now, I've said long, that's not even a thing, is it? You see, when I get worked up, my words go all over the place. I've said many times, this for me was never political. It was about policy, because I don't believe children should be politicised. I never have, and I never will. So if a policy affects them that is negative, then I will fight it. And I will fight it if it's any political party. It just so happens that Labour seem to be doing such a bad job on so many different levels. It's not actually that difficult to go, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? It's not an attack. It's an observation. And the observation is that VAT on education and the education bill do not have children at the core of their motivation. They are not acting in the best interests of children. They are acting in the best interests of politicians who want to further their career. And I can't and won't stand for that. So let's hope today the judges turn round like the headmaster or the headmistress at school and give Bridget Phillipson, Rachel Reeves and their defence team an absolute bollocking for doing this, for spending our money needlessly. And let's think about how much this money could support a child with special educational needs in the state system. What could this go towards? Could this rebuild classrooms? Could this give some schools AstroTurf, Bridge? I mean, you've got a bee in your bonnet about that, even though quite a lot of sports schools have, or state schools have got AstroTurf. But let's give some AstroTurf, only we can't because we're spending it on KCs defending the indefensible. It's not a wise use of money, and it is not bettering an education for any child. It needs to stop. It's as simple as that. It needs to stop. And I hope today the judges say exactly that. I hope they turn around and say, enough, I do not want to see you on my door again. Go away. We will deliberate with what we've got. Because that's how it should be. That is how the legal system works. And to try and play with it at this stage in the game, what morals, what integrity?